Hello and welcome back to the Film Society. I'm Mackenzie.
And I'm Chloe.
And this week we are talking about rom-coms, one of our favorite genres, obviously, right?
Correct.
But that's for the second half of the show. So for the first half, as we always do, we're going to be talking about what we watched this week. Chloe, why don't you take over?
Well, this week I watched Sleepless in Seattle, which is conveniently a rom-com, and it was directed by Nora Ephron in 1993, and you can rent or purchase it on Amazon Prime. The film follows Sam, who is played by Tom Hanks, and his son, and they moved to Seattle after the passing of Sam's wife. His son calls to a radio talk show about a year and a half later and informs the radio show's audience that he would like a new mom and a new wife for his dad, and many people, especially women, are touched by the story and begin to write letters to Sam. Annie, who is played by Meg Ryan, is one of the women who is touched by Sam's story and writes to him from Baltimore. In the letter, she suggests that they meet at the top of the Empire State Building on Valentine's Day, which is inspired by one of the movies that she loves and a lot of people love, An Affair to Remember. And Sam tells his son, who likes Annie out of all the people that wrote to him, that they should fly to New York City and meet Annie, and Sam declines that they should not do that because she could be like creepy because they don't know her at all.
Or insane.
Yeah. Sam's son is distraught and he's very upset that his dad won't take him. And so he, I don't know how, I think he's 8, goes and buys a plane ticket for himself, flies by himself to New York City to meet Annie. And Sam is like, oh my gosh, I gotta go find my son. Follows him there and meets Annie at the top of the Empire State Building on Valentine's Day, like in the movie I said earlier, An Affair to Remember, which she likes.
Oh.
Yeah. Have you seen it? Or just not in a while? No?
Not, if I have seen it, I don't remember seeing it.
I just assumed you've seen it.
Yeah, I probably have because I've seen a lot of those. But there's that whole trope in a lot of movies of the kids being super capable that no kid that age should be capable.
Oh yeah, I think they're saying you at least have to be 14. Then they're like, and then the comment of the plane ticket, his friend or whatever, his friend that's his age.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, just say you're really self-conscious about your height and you don't want them commenting. And I was like, I mean, that's kind of smart, but
I mean, yeah, I guess it would work, right?
I mean, but he was pretty short.
He's 8.
Yeah, he might have been 12 maybe.
Okay, but still, that's a small child.
Anyway, a child. That's what I was trying to get across. He was a kid, still just flying cross country.
There's also that trope in movies that you see all the time of kids being super involved in their parents' love life.
Oh, definitely.
And that gives me anxiety because I joke with my parents whenever they kiss, I'm like, oh, gross. I'm 21 and I still say gross. I can't imagine.
So you're not involved whatsoever.
I can't imagine trying to get my dad a date.
I just feel I don't know, the way I was raised, that would be intrusive.
Yeah.
To your parents. It's almost kind of disrespectful in a way.
Yeah.
That's not for everybody, you know what I mean? But I feel the way I was raised, that's kind of disrespectful and intruding.
I don't know if I see it as disrespectful personally, but I get what you're saying. But I think it's weird. The Parent Trap is another one where they're really involved in getting their parents back together, and I get
that's diabolical though. You know what I mean? The stuff they're thinking of at what age? What age were they?
I genuinely have no clue.
It's been a while for me, but
because every time I think the age makes sense, it never does.
Because remember,
and we'll talk about that in the next episode because I have a lot of thoughts about the Lizzie McGuire movie.
I thought we were talking about Parent Trap. Now we're talking about Lizzie McGuire.
No, but I'm talking about the age thing because I can never gauge the age they're supposed to be because they'll be
it's so weird because
she'll look like a full-grown adult and they'll be like, oh, she's in middle school. And I'm like, huh? Yeah. I didn't look like that in middle school.
Because it's so weird too because I don't know if this ever happens to you when you watch a movie when you were a kid, but no matter how old they are, you just relate to whoever's the main character. Because I remember I'd be watching Drake and Josh in high school and Megan's so young and I was probably Megan's age watching it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's super weird.
There's this new transition almost of I'm now the same age as people who are playing high schoolers. And I don't know when. You have
to at least be 30, so you're not there yet.
I don't know
to be half
when
the
that
age of a high schooler
but
to play
all
a high
these
schooler.
But I remember when I was in middle school, all of these social media stars and the actors I really enjoyed were in their 20s.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, I love them. I want to be like them.
20 is so old and
20
mature.
is so old and mature. And now these guys that are playing high schoolers, it's a new wave of actors because the ones that were my age are now in their 40s basically. But so the ones that are now playing high school schoolers, like the new Disney Channel stars, are my age or younger. And I'm like, when did this happen?
Yeah.
Who are you people? That we got a little off topic, but
it's okay.
It started from
him calling on the talk radio.
And
I remember watching that, and I'm like,
self-sufficient children. And I've never met an 8-year-old that is that self-sufficient, because like I still have kids at my camp that need help tying their own shoes.
Yeah.
And they're 8 or 9.
Yeah, because I think when he called the show, you know, Sam, the son.
What's the son's name?
So Sam's son is Jonah. Okay. His name's Jonah.
So Jonah calls in to get his father laid.
In a nutshell, like, no, because he's on the talk show.
Yeah, that ruins the movie when you think about it in that context.
And the radio show's like, oh, put your dad on or whatever. And he's like, oh, dad. And he's like, what? Like, now I'm on a talk show?
Huh?
What? Oh my God. Like, again, you and I were raised very similarly. I don't think I would just get off free for calling into a talk show.
But I didn't even go on websites as a kid that said, like, you need your parents' permission.
Because you're like,
because I can't.
Parental permission is needed. I can't go.
It's needed. So, I'm going to expose myself a little bit.
Oh, God.
So, there was a point in time where, like, Cartoon Network would turn into Adult Swim at night.
Okay.
And you know how Adult Swim is, like, a little bit more, like,
adult.
PG-13, R-rated stuff. So, it was, like, really late at night, and there would...
You were being such a rebel?
I was being a rebel.
Oh, my gosh.
And it would flash a warning, like, hey, parents, the stuff that's about to come on isn't, you know, PG. If you have young kids, you should probably make them leave. So I used to leave the room for that warning, and then come back in. And
what was the point of leaving for the warning, though?
Because then I could pretend like I didn't see the warning.
Oh, you didn't have to lie because you genuinely didn't see it.
I didn't see the warning, so I didn't know.
That's actually pretty smart.
Yeah, that was the type of child I was.
So, Mackenzie, what'd you watch this week?
So this week, in preparation for season 9, even though it doesn't really matter, it's a anthology series, I rewatched season 8 of American Horror Story, which is American Horror Story Apocalypse. So for anyone who doesn't know, it's an anthology series, so each season is a complete separate story.
Okay, so kind of like Black Mirror with the episodes?
Yeah, so the whole season finishes and ends a story for the most part. Mm-hmm. Apocalypse is considered a crossover from season 1 and season 3, which are respectively called Murder House and Coven. So there's a lot of witches involved, some ghosts, the Antichrist is there.
I believe I've seen an episode or two but no, I think I did watch an episode or two of that one.
Yeah, I got into it. I started watching the show in like high school, and I really loved it. So now I've just like kept it up. So American Horror Story Apocalypse season 8 is following the aftermath of a nuclear apocalypse, which is brought on by Michael Langdon, the Antichrist, of course.
That doesn't sound good.
No, so the one big thing with American Horror Story is they do a lot of flipping back and forth.
Like in time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it starts with the aftermath of the apocalypse, and you're seeing these people.
Like how it got started?
And then they flip back to how it got started and what people were doing to stop it, and then they flip back to what's going on now, and then they flip back, and they flip, and they flip, and they flip.
Oh, it sounds really interesting.
Yeah. Luckily, they do a lot of time cards at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Of like 3 weeks before.
Or someone has a really distinct haircut in one timeline.
Yeah, stuff like that. The main character is the Antichrist, Michael Langdon, and his hair progressively gets longer throughout the season. So
I was actually joking about the hair.
Oh, no. So for like the first episode, which takes place in the future, his hair is super long. And then they cut back to when he was like a kid, and he's got like really short hair, and it slowly gets longer and longer. So you kind of can gauge where you're at in history by how long his hair is. Also, he starts rocking eyeshadow at the end of the season, and it's fantastic. No, but it's been going on for 9 seasons now. It's won awards. Sarah Paulson's in it. Mm-hmm. Evan Peters, Billy Lord, who is the daughter of Carrie Fisher. So she comes from and the granddaughter of Debbie Reynolds. So she comes from like a big
I know who
Hollywood
those people
family
are. You were looking at me like I had no idea.
No, I know who that is. Emma Roberts is in it. Kathy Bates is in it. And newcomer Cody Fern, who plays Michael Langdon. This was his Apocalypse was his first season, and he had like the biggest role. And I think now he's like part of the show because he's in season 9, which is called 1984, which you knew I had to watch. Yeah, so it's available on Hulu and Netflix, both, which is very surprising usually.
Is it? Because I haven't seen it. I've always heard good things, but is it available to watch? Like when the new season comes out, like straight onto Netflix? Or does it air on like television?
It airs on FX first.
Okay.
So like this season originally aired from September 12th to November 14th in 2018.
Okay.
And then it gets put on Hulu and Netflix. Netflix seems to get it a lot later than Hulu does.
Mm-hmm.
So like Hulu already has season 9. Netflix won't get it for like a month or so.
Okay. I just didn't know how that worked.
So this is a slight spoiler. At the end of season 8, there's a big moment where they're sort of triumphant over the apocalypse. They manage to stave it off so it doesn't occur. And they flash forward to the year 2020, where you find out that the Antichrist has been born again, basically saying that the apocalypse is going to happen anyway. And I watched it in 2018 and I was like, oh, that's so funny. And then I watched it again recently and I was like, that hurts.
Yeah.
I feel it. Yeah, we're in the apocalypse now. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, nuclear bombs didn't work. Let's just kill everyone with a virus. There's so much Satan worshipping in that movie, in the TV show, though. I get a little nervous. I feel like I'm inviting some stuff into our dorm.
Well, don't tell me that now.
Don't worry. I went through, I saged the place. I did some holy water, some blessings, just in case. I don't want...
I mean, at least you're taking the proper precautions. I can respect that.
I'm trying my best. But together this week, we watched the Hulu original movie, Palm Springs, which I will give a little bit of a rundown about. So it follows the main character of Sarah, who is the maid of honor at her sister's wedding in Palm Springs, as she meets Niles, played by Andy Samberg, who seems to sort of just not care about anything. He's literally just vibing.
That's true.
He's just there for a good time. And
not a long time.
Oh.
I guess kind of a long time.
Kind of a long time.
If you've seen the movie, you get it.
But she's just there. She's clearly worked up constantly. She feels like the black sheep of the family. From her perspective, she can't do anything right and there's no point. And she meets Niles, who is just purely there for the vibes. No thoughts. And they run into each other at the wedding and they kind of hit it off. They're friendly with each other and they sneak off to go have some private time. And as they go to sneak off, something happens to both of them and Sarah wakes up to find that she cannot escape the venue or the day, and she's living it over and over and over like Groundhog Day. So now the two of them are the only ones who remember the fact that they're living the same day over and over again. They now have to figure out how to deal with the fact that they're stuck with each other and in the same place forever. What happens? What do they do? But it was really good. It was on Hulu. It's directed by Max Barbakow. It stars Andy Samberg. J.K. Simmons is in it for a really long time.
Oh, I loved his character. He was hilarious at the end too.
Yeah, Sarah is played by Kristen Milotti. And like I said, it's available on Hulu. So what did you think?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, we both love anything to do with time. So obviously we're
I'm so worried about our time travel episode. It's going to be 4 hours long.
We'll cap it at 3.
3.5.
Fair. But no, I really liked it. I thought it was very funny. They worked really well together in terms of riffing off of each other and the chemistry they had.
There's that whole dinosaur thing, though, that bothered me. It was
Right.
It was like a split second of a scene and it was never brought up again. And I was like, why was it there?
For fun.
But it'd be like if someone walked up to you and was like, hey, don't ask me about the turtles, and walked away. You'd be like, hold on, come back. What about the turtles? Dude, I asked you not to ask me about it. Okay, but you can't come up and just say that. You have to give me explanation about the turtles. That's what it felt like, of just, so are we not going to talk about the dinosaurs?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, we're not going to talk about the dinosaurs. There were dinosaurs. I don't know. Maybe you saw that. It felt out of place for the whole movie.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that till you mentioned. I don't know if you saw the realization come over my face. I was like, right, the dinosaurs. Because it was just a split second, like you said.
No, but I did love the movie. I thought it was super cute. I know some people didn't like the ending. I personally really liked the ending.
I did as well. Because remember, you and I were both sitting there and we were like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And then the homeowners come back. And then you're like, oh, they came back.
You feel really happy for them. You're like, oh, you won.
Yeah, and I know you made fun of me because I was like, oh my God, if I had to live the same day over and over in Palm Springs, oh my God.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
I was trying to think of, if I had to relive the same day over and over and over again, where would I want to be?
Well, what's the answer?
I'm leaning towards London.
Okay.
Because I'd want to be in a city.
You have a checklist that in London just hits all of them?
Well, I want to be in a city because there's normally a lot of stuff going on in a city anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be like if you wanted to go to 3 separate events and you had to relive the same day, the events you could go to all of the events. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a big enough city where like you can kind of get places, you could get to other places pretty easily. Like I could get to Paris for the day and just not even have to worry about my flight home because I just wake up back in London the next day.
Oh, that's so smart.
you buy a one-way ticket, you go, you wake up back in London, you go to another city. Like
I honestly had put no thought into it. I was just like, oh my god, if it was Palm Springs though.
No, but if you had to, like if you had to sit down right now and just a little bit of thought, where do you think you'd want to spend a while in the only city you have to relive the same day?
I don't know. I don't want to bandwagon a little bit, but I would probably say Madrid just because I never got to spend my full time there and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, that was just a thought I had of like, oh, if I had to spend a long time. Also,
I was just like, oh my god, poor kids, man. They got to be in Palm Springs.
Poor them. Palm Springs.
Which most people haven't been or like it a lot or for some reason.
So I was doing some research on the movie, as I do, because I like to look at what people have
facts.
said. Yeah. So Andy Samberg gave some interviews about the movie, and he admitted that there were multiple endings that were filmed.
Oh, okay.
Or he talked about the fact that there were multiple endings that were written and like shot. Like they filmed a ton of endings, and they played it for friends and family with the separate endings to see like
what people thought.
So he's quoted as saying, all right, it might not be perfect, but everyone liked it for the ending that they chose. Because that was the ending. Friends and family were like, yeah, that one.
Okay.
So I think that's true.
I'd agree with that, though.
Yeah, I think it's true. Like, it's a cute ending, and it does a good service to the movie of not forcing it to be... I think there's a problem in a lot of movies where they're like, oh, happy endings are too cliche. We can't have them.
Yeah. I like those movies, too.
And I do enjoy those movies. I think those movies are good, but I also think if you're making a movie that's supposed to be like a rom-com or a romantic movie, it's okay to have a happy ending. That doesn't make your movie bad.
Oh my gosh, that totally reminds me of Playing It Cool.
Yeah.
When he's writing a screenplay rom-com. Mm-hmm. And his friend is like, oh, well, he's like, I want it to be a downer. I don't want it to have any cliches. And he's like, that's not a rom-com, though.
That's just sad.
That's what he says. But anyway, what you just said reminded me of that whole scene when they're in the library.
Yeah, like I think it's the same. Like I know when we went into high school, I don't know if this was for you, but for me, it transitioned to books with happy endings to books with only sad endings. And those were the only books that we were allowed to read. Like the classics all had sad endings to them. It's like, why? Why can't we read a book with a good moral and a good happy ending to it? Like I find it in movies too where directors are like, no, I'm an artist. There are no happy endings in the real world. It's like, that's not true.
Yeah.
There are a lot of happy endings in the real world. And I think that's why people watch these movies is for that payoff of, oh, he got the girl. Mm-hmm. He realized he was a jerk. He fixed his ways. Because not every movie I want to watch is angry and sad and nothing is happy in life, so deal with it.
Yeah, I think it depends on the story though too. Like for Palm Springs, like I'm not always a fan of the happy ending myself, but it fit for me. Yeah. And I liked that. But it does depend on like the characters, what they went through. Like in Palm Springs, I think they went through enough together that it's kind of like, oh, well, they end up together still now that they're in the present. Or they always were in the present, but...
That's getting into time travel.
I don't know the terminology, but no longer in a time loop, I guess I'll say.
Yes.
So I think that was like, it is happy, but more that it just got out of the loop. Because you don't know if they'll still end up together. Because I'm sure I'd be like, dude, I need a break. I had to spend every single day with you.
Can we just take like a week or so? You do your thing, I'm gonna do my thing. I'll meet up with you in a week. We'll talk about it then. Yep. I can vibe with that. I don't know. I like that they gave us a happy ending. I felt like they could have.
We totally thought they were just gonna leave it.
Like they could have left them in the time loop and made that the ending and made it super, or they could have left it super ambiguous. You know what I mean?
It just reminded me of when you said leave them in the time loop. Mm-hmm. It also reminded me of Passengers, which I don't recall if you've seen.
No.
So it kind of reminded me of that stuck in the time loop because obviously we're not going to delve too much into the movie. Basically, they weren't meant to stay together, just them, but the movie just let it happen.
Yeah.
And it just kept them, I don't want to say isolated because they had each other, but isolated to each other, if that makes sense. I don't know a better way to describe it.
Yeah, I do enjoy movies that leave the ending ambiguous because then you can put whatever ending you want in a lot of ways.
Okay, I swear, every time you say something, it like pings another reference or like another movie. That just reminded me of the ending of Chuck a lot.
Yes, that's what I mean. It's like
11-year-old me was like, I don't know what happened though.
But you can do what you want with that ending. Because like for me, they got got back together. She remembered everything.
That's like in the Inception too. I get in so many arguments.
Yeah, the ending is ambiguous because it's up to you to make your ending almost.
I like that though, and I do like that with Chuck as well.
Yeah.
But I think everybody kind of knows what was. I think there's more of a likelihood in that scenario.
But so the other fact I found about Palm Springs was that it broke the record for most viewed Hulu release in its first weekend on the streaming service.
Good for the movie, man. It deserved it.
It definitely did. I also think that's a kind of off statistic. Like,
because everyone was in quarantine?
Well, because everyone was in quarantine. Also, Hulu hasn't released a ton of original stuff.
It's number 1 out of 2.
Like, Hulu has just recently started releasing its own original stuff. So that'd be like Netflix.
I do not have Hulu, which is why I know none of this.
But so that'd be like Netflix when it released like its first ever movie, being like, it broke records as an original Netflix streaming movie. And you're like, yeah, that is the record.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I really like Palm Springs. It's definitely one I would recommend to
Me
people. As well. It's one that I feel like I could rewatch.
Dude, let's rewatch it after this episode. Let's
True.
Go. I'm not even joking.
I would go back and rewatch it.
Do you want to?
Yeah. Okay. You're listening to the Roommate Bonding right now. But Palm Springs neatly brings us into our genre of the week, which is rom-coms. So, Chloe, would you like to talk about your first rom-com?
Well, as you know, the one I'm going to talk about first is actually kind of an anti-rom-com. So
you give me stress.
Well, I'm not Anne Hathaway saying my favorite's Gone Girl.
That's true.
So, leveling up.
I don't know if you can level up from Anne Hathaway. She's a queen and a goddess.
From that opinion, I'm leveling up.
True.
I'm not even in the realm of Anne Hathaway. I'm just saying leveling up for me, the rom-com opinion. Anyway, so the anti-rom-com, which I have now said, is 500 Days of Summer, which is directed by Mark Webb. And it came out in 2009, and you can rent or purchase it on Amazon Prime. I thought a good quote in the movie, that's like one of the first title cards that explains the movie really well, is, "This is not a love story, this is a story about love." I thought that was a good way to start it off.
Yeah.
But anyway, the film follows Tom, who is played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and his relationship with Summer, who is played by Zooey Deschanel. And Tom is a strong believer in love and believes in soulmate, that he's waiting for his soulmate. And Summer, who he believes to be his soulmate. So when he meets Summer, she says she doesn't believe in love, and he's like kind of just thrown off by that. He's like, "What? I thought she's my soulmate, and we don't even share that?" Like, it throws him off guard. And when she says that, they're in a bar doing karaoke and stuff, and he comedically responds to Summer when she says she doesn't believe in love, that it's love, it's not Santa Claus, it's not like a like some mythical thing. And so throughout the movie, it's going through, it's called 500 Days of Summer because they knew each other for like 500 days. And so it'll have like day 1, day like 65, and it'll show like what happened on that day, because again, it's not a love story, so it goes through where their relationship went wrong.
Yes.
He's trying to replay, oh, I saw it as this, how did she see it? Because he thought it was a really happy relationship, that it was going really well, and she's like, "You're happy?" And he's like, "You're not?" And so it's more of him trying to figure out why it didn't work, trying to get her back. Is it worth it to get her back? All of that.
Interesting. I remember seeing people talk about that movie in like
when it first came out a while ago.
When it first came out, but like also since then I've seen it on
oh, are you talking about like who's the villain?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where also they talk
I've had
about,
many
like,
arguments about that myself.
Where also they talk about like heroes that are destined to fail as well. Like,
are you referencing which character?
Tom.
Okay.
Like, you see him go through the whole movie and he reevaluates where it went wrong, and then you see him start it immediately again with a new girl. Like the same cycle, and you just know it's gonna go wrong again because he's doing it again. Like, he didn't actually learn anything from it. I might be wrong, but that's what I've seen a lot of people talk about it in that context.
Because this is one of my favorite movies, and a lot of people talk to me about it. But Joseph Gordon-Levitt has come out and said that his character is more in the wrong than Zooey Deschanel's character, Summer. And a lot of people get mad, and you're like, well, he played Tom in the movie. Like, I think you'd know.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying...
Oh, no. I didn't get into where I was talking about.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. And because this is one of my favorite movies, I love to watch it. I've rewatched it so many times, but my mom does not like it. She thinks that Summer's evil. Did not, because, Tom's being so nice. He's doing all this stuff, and then she's just like, no. Like, that's how she sees it. So she would say that Summer's the villain. So I know a lot of people that are like, no, like, she said she didn't want a relationship, but then she gets married. And, So I've just seen more people argue about who was more in the wrong.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
I don't know if you remember the scene when they were I mean, there's a lot of the scenes when they're on the bench.
Yes, the bench.
But the very, very end, when she's already married, and she's like, oh, he's like, you just said you didn't even want to be in a relationship, and now you're married? Like, what? Mm-hmm. Like, walk me through that. And it was kind of a zinger, though. Mm-hmm. I mean, she was like, oh, I never knew I wanted to be in a relationship till after I was with you, meaning that, like, I really didn't like to be with you, though.
Yes.
And you can just see him, like, break inside when she said that. Because, I mean, it was rude.
Yes.
But, like, I think that's, like, the perfect depiction there of how people see her as the victim. Yeah. Not the victim.
The villain.
The villain. Like, I think that was probably what cemented a lot of people's opinions of that. Mm-hmm. But no, I think a lot of people still debate it.
Yeah.
About who was in the wrong. Again, like you said, the ending as well. I haven't seen as much debate about that. That's why I mentioned the villain.
I've seen a lot of people talk about how I think he meets Autumn. Her name's Autumn.
Yeah, they're keeping with the seasons. Next he's gonna be Winter.
But so he meets Autumn and you see it start in a very similar way to how he met Summer. Like the title cards come back up, I think, from what I remember. It has the same vibe as when he met Summer, and people are like, oh, I've heard people argue like, oh, he's going to do it again. He's going to go through the same cycle in the same way he did it with Summer.
Yeah.
He hasn't actually learned anything from it.
I mean, I kind of actually disagree with that. Well, I'm just reflecting
I'm curious.
on what I thought. Oh, you
tell
want me
me
to
why you disagree.
Well, I don't know if you remember how they met. They didn't meet in a similar way, in my opinion. Because, he was a greeting card writer and she was like an assistant there. Mm-hmm. So he was trying to slide in and even trying to meet her at all.
Yes.
He just liked her from afar. And when he met Autumn, they were interviewing for the same position. Uh-huh. At an architecture firm. And so I think the way they met obviously was different in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think, because I don't know if you remember the title cards, but when they had all the different ones for Summer, it was like a little sun, some trees.
Yeah.
When it was Autumn, it was autumns. There was like leaves falling. I think that symbolizes more of a change.
Yeah, maybe.
I think. But I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I saw it as the problem of going back to day one and being like, okay, now we're starting this cycle again. But that's what I mean.
I see it more as like starting a new season, like turning over a new leaf in a way.
Yeah, that's what we just talked about before is like, it's ambiguous. You can pull from it however you want.
Oh, I was just saying that is my version of it.
I'm not disagreeing because your version could be right. My version could be right. We could both be wrong and someone else could be right. Like,
right.
There's no way of completely knowing because we're not in the mind of the person who wrote the movie, and unless they sit down and say, this is what I meant, and even then I don't have to take it.
Yeah, exactly.
He could come out and be like, no, this is exactly what I meant for this, and I could be like, well, I disagree.
Yeah, exactly.
Movies, I think once you make a movie and you bring it to the world, music as well.
Yeah, I relate it to paintings as well, too.
All of it, art in general. When you're making it, it's for you. And if you want it to hold a specific meaning for you, you shouldn't share it with the public. Because once it's out in the public, it's however I want to take it. However I look at this painting
I feel like all
or
of the
read
best
this poem.
Art, I would say music as well, like you said. I think all of the bests of those are like that in my opinion too.
It's music, it's paintings, it's poetry. I come with my own experiences in life, and no matter how much I try to separate and shut off that part of my brain and watch it objectively, I have experience and I have things that I've dealt with that I put on my music and my movies and the stuff I watch and listen to.
Yeah, exactly.
And it affects how I understand them. Like a sad song to me that I used to listen to, a song that's supposed to be sad that I listened to when I was in a really happy part of my life holds a happy memory, so the song itself can no longer be sad to me.
Yeah.
Whereas and the vice versa, you can listen to a happy song when you're going through a really rough patch, and that song can always hold a sad thought for you. Everything is ambiguous, so I think you and I can sit here and debate for hours what we think 500 Days of Summer is really about.
Well, I just laid my case on the table, man.
And neither of us are right and neither of us are wrong. We're just truly enjoying the movie and bringing our own perspective to it.
Yeah, I agree completely.
On a lighter note, I'm going to talk about a terrible rom-com.
Which one?
Little Italy.
Okay, I agree. That movie was garbage.
The greatest movie ever made. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know what I'm talking about.
So Little Italy stars Hayden Christian Anderson from the Star Wars movies, Emma Roberts again, Andrea Martin, and Danny Aiello. It was released in August of 2018. It was directed by Donald Petrie. It's available on Prime for purchase. And for a rundown, in case you don't remember the movie, Leo Campo and Nikki Angelo are the two main characters, played by Hayden Christian Anderson and
Emma Roberts,
respectively. And they're the son and daughter pair of rival New York pizzeria owners, obviously. Their parents have been feuding. It's basically like Romeo and Juliet with pizza. That's like the easiest way I can explain it. And Nikki is like been off learning from like a chef in France. And she comes back home to New York, to Little Italy, and reunites with her friend Leo, who's on the opposite side of this pizza feud. And sort of through that, they start moving from like friendship to a little bit of romance, and it's a bad movie. That's the end of my plot summary.
Summary? Bad.
Oh my god, it's so bad. First off, it's supposed to be set in Little Italy in New York. They filmed in Toronto, Canada. Explain to me all of that. It doesn't even look like Little Italy. But
that's like how they film all the Hallmark movies in like LA in the summer.
Yep.
You know, and you're like, makes sense.
I saw something about that. They spend like millions of dollars on fake snow.
Yeah, because when I...
those Hallmark movies.
Yeah, because when I toured, like, you know, you can do those studio tours in LA, like, I did one of those, and they're always like, oh my god, yeah, we got to spend all this money on, like, white paint, getting fake snow, and you're like, just go somewhere snowy then. You know what I mean?
Just don't.
Because, you know, we went on, like, the set where they did, like, the little town that they used for a lot of movies, like, in Pretty Little Liars, Gilmore Girls, that one.
Yeah, I got really excited. I tried to ask if we could get off so I could take a picture of the sign from Luke's Diner, and they were like, no, you cannot. I was like, but please, I love that show. Gilmore Girls. I grew up watching that show.
I did not. I watched it. I was trying to explain that nicely, but I don't know what nicer way to say it. I don't really like a lot of like the girly, fluffy shows.
Yeah.
So I tried watching it, and I got to like, for me, I thought it was pretty good how far I got. I like 8 episodes season 1.
That's pretty good.
I thought that was pretty good. I couldn't pretty good for me because I didn't even finish the pilot episode of Gossip Girl, and I feel like I'm the only girl who did not watch that.
I hated that show. I made it. I think I made it as far as you did in Gilmore Girls. I think I made it through the first 8 episodes.
That's good for you, man. I didn't finish the pilot because she's like, oh, who's gonna tell XOXO? I'm like, what?
I gave up. I was like,
But I also watched Pretty Little Liars, so I don't know.
You watch. Judgment.
You can judge me for it because I judged myself. I'm like, God, how did I keep watching it? It became a joke, like, oh, let's see what they pull this week for me, you know what I mean? Because this person's A, that person's A.
Oh, yeah. You know what I watched for a while that you can make fun of me for? The Fosters.
You're joking.
It came on right before The Flash on Freeform, I think. Oh no, it came on before Shadowhunters. Sorry, because I watched Shadowhunters for a hot minute too, because I read the books and I loved the books.
I did hear the books were good,
but it came on like right before Shadowhunters, so I would watch Fosters because I would go up to my parents' like bedroom and watch in their bedroom.
It's like the pre-show for Shadowhunters.
Yeah. And so like I came in super late on the show, but I was like, wow. Even I was like, why am I watching this? I don't like it.
Yeah, that was kind of me with Pretty Little Liars. I'll give myself credit. I actually enjoyed seasons like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But there's like 8, 9, just like steep decline.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It just fell so hard.
Yeah.
I don't even remember who was A in the end. They tell you, but it just made no sense that I don't even have memory of it. It's like somebody's evil twin who they didn't, evil twin of some like another person's evil twin probably.
Of course.
Of some new person.
Does that make them a triplet?
I don't know. I think it was somebody's brother, but they didn't, like, 2 of them ended up being related, and then they had a brother who was, like, evil and, like, put away or something.
Why does this read like a bad soap opera?
Because it is. It's so bad. Because I read the books, too, the Pretty Little Liars books. Too. I mean, those weren't really that good either. But.
Those were convoluted as well, but I think the show was worse. I had that problem with Gilmore Girls, so I started watching Gilmore Girls in, like, middle school because I got, like, really
good things. I just couldn't get into it.
I think I got like really sick where I was home for like a week.
Oh my god, that was me with This Is Us.
Yeah, so I like started watching Gilmore Girls and I like loved it, and the relationship between the mother and daughter in the show, I saw like the relationship my mom and I have with each other, so I really loved that aspect of it. And then for some reason, like later on before the show ends and in like the newer thing they did a couple years ago.
Oh, like the special?
Yeah, they straight up just retconned the main character's whole personality. Like, she was always very sweet and caring and loving, and she was smart, and she, you know,
yeah,
wanted
even I
to
remember
do the
that
best,
from the 8 episodes.
But she wanted to be like, she cared about everyone around her. And then she went off to Yale for college, and she turned into like a brat who like expected everything to be handed to her. And when someone talked badly about her, she like went off the rails and just turned into like an awful person. And I was like, you've taken the character we love,
switch.
And you've completely retconned her entire personality. Like, why
mess with something that's good?
Like, the reason we loved her and her character is because she you could tell she was a genuine person. She, like, criticism didn't bring her down, and she cared about everyone around her, and then all of a sudden she was just like a terrible friend to everyone, and like cheated on her boyfriend, and just was a garbage person. And you're like, what? Don't do that. Anyway, going back to Little Italy, which is what we were supposed to be talking about.
Oh, I thought you just finished your summary. Bad.
I did. Bad. The thing that bothers me is
I have nothing else to say for me about it.
There are so many stereotypes in it that don't need to be in it. Like, they basically were like, how many bad stereotypes can we shove into one movie? There's like a side character who's Indian, who has a stereotypical Indian accent, and like, I'm blanking on his name, but it's something that it just feels off, and he's just like the butt of every joke. At one point they insinuate that he smells like curry, and you're like, why would you write that?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but was that the movie where he wanted to like do Italian food and cook as well, and they were like, why are you even trying, you're like Indian?
Yeah,
that was the same. Okay, that was, I'm pretty sure that's
correctly? The same one. Yeah, because I remember he like works in the restaurant, and they're like, why do you care? Why do you work here? You're not Italian. You can't make Italian food. It's like, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
1 and 2, it's a little racist. Let's be
just
honest.
A little.
I don't want to call the filmmakers racist. It was a different time
2 years
in
ago.
2018, because you hear that thrown around all the time. It's so funny. My 2 movies I want to talk about are from 2018, and they could not be on different ends of the spectrum if you tried.
I think mine are actually kind of on the same spectrum now that I think about it.
But like, Little Italy is bad. It's not funny. All the jokes that are supposed to be jokes feel like they land badly. Hayden Christian Anderson can't act. He's got like, I don't know if you remember, he has an Italian accent, and it's supposed to be like a thick New York Italian accent, but he can't do it. So he slips in and out of the accent. So there will be some scenes where he just straight up doesn't have one. And you're like, well, then don't give him an accent if he can't do it.
I'll be honest, this is one of those movies for me, background. So I don't know if I caught up on much of the accent.
I watched it
because obviously I was so invested in the plot.
Obviously. I watched it with a friend, and we made a drinking game out of his accent. Whenever he didn't have an accent, you had to do a shot.
Love it.
We were almost in the hospital for this movie. Someone had to go to the hospital. Like, that's how bad his accent is. It's just like, it's so easy to, especially if you're in New York. Like, I grew up in a neighborhood that was predominantly Italian American, and some of them had really thick accents, some of them didn't have thick accents. If the parents and the grandparents have thick accents, you don't need to give the kid an accent that's as thick if he can't hold the accent. Just don't give it to him. It's so simple to not
I agree completely.
Do it. So that's my complaints about Little Italy. It's a bad movie. You can watch it on Prime if you want to just shut your brain off and watch it.
Is it for free on Prime?
I think you have to pay for it. Please don't pay for it on Prime. There are so many better things to watch on Prime. It's not even worth it. What's your second movie? Let's get a little palate cleanser.
I'm going to be talking about Hitch, which is directed by Andy Tennant. It came out in 2005, and you can rent or purchase it on Amazon Prime. And so the movie follows Will Smith's character, Alex Hitchens, who goes by Hitch, and he's known as the Love Doctor, which I'm trying to figure out a
gross. It's a gross word. Love Doctor makes me feel uncomfortable.
Well, I'm trying to figure out a good way to describe what he does. But basically, he tries to give men like a chance with the women that he likes, trying to give them like tips, be more like suave, you know?
So like a pickup artist?
Tomato, tomato, man. I don't know. Potato, potato.
I mean, pickup artists are gross too. Like any one of those YouTube channels. Anyway.
The plot really goes more in depth when a new client of his, Albert Brenneman, who is played by Kevin James, wants Hitch's advice, hires the Love Doctor, trying to get his advice on how to get the girl he wants, who is a celebrity, Allegra Cole, which I feel like today would probably be like, I feel like it's more like Heidi Klum, like trying to get her.
Okay.
Like Kevin James. So anyway, he needs a lot of help. I mean, come on, he's trying to get a celebrity. But but as he's trying to help Albert, Hitch meets Sarah Milas, who is a gossip reporter who is investigating Allegra Cole and her love life. And it gets more complicated, a little more funny when the connection between Hitch and Albert comes together and what her job is. And what his job is. It gets a little more complicated, but it's just a mess. It's funny. I just grew up watching it.
There's this thing in rom-coms especially with not very good looking guys getting really pretty girls.
Are you talking about Adam Sandler?
Yes. I didn't want to name names, but like,
or you,
Adam
for Kevin
Sandler.
James.
Kevin James, or like, you and I both watched The Wrong Missy, and somehow he's got every girl falling over him, and it's
Dude, I honestly think he looked like an old woman.
Yeah,
I don't know,
but you know what I mean. If like guys that are old and not very good looking getting like
models
really
or celebrities like
women,
Allegra Cole,
or Adam Sandler is constantly with Jennifer Aniston, and she looks amazing for her age, and he looks like he's melting, and you're like, I'm supposed to believe that she's dropping everything to fall in love with you. Make it make sense.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the way they did it, I feel like was really cute. It was really good.
Yeah, no, I think it can be done well, but I think also it's just it gets a suspension of disbelief where you're supposed to be like, oh yeah, I totally buy that any one of these women wants to be with Adam Sandler for the rest of their life.
Have you seen Hitch?
Not in a really long time. It's
kind of the butt of the movie, or the joke, is that he shouldn't be getting her.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Sarah Milas' character is like how?
Yeah.
Like, trying to figure out how.
And I appreciate
Hitch is like, what do you think, I'm supposed to help you? Like, how?
I appreciate when they acknowledge it more, I think.
Yeah, but it makes it more funny, and he's like,
yes.
Because at the end, there's a little bit of chaos that goes on, and she's trying, so basically Hitch tries to talk to Allegra to Albert to get her back. Get him back? Okay, I'm just going to repeat that.
Yeah.
But, so at the end, Hitch talks to Allegra because there's a little bit of a mishap, and so he's trying to pitch that she take him back. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And he's like, oh, you actually really like him. She's like, yeah. And he's like, can you like explain though? Like, and he's trying to help him, and he still doesn't get it.
Makes sense.
And she's like, oh, like all these jokes he was saying. She's like, I know it was all you because you're the love doctor telling him this stuff. He's like, I didn't do that. And she's like, oh. So it was just like
that. That's so cute.
But they like played on it a little bit.
Yeah. So, and I appreciate when they acknowledge and play on it. Whereas like in other ones, they're like, oh no, everyone's just in love with this dude who looks like your grandmother, and you're like, why?
Have you seen the Adam Sandler movie Just Go With It?
Yes.
That one blows my mind.
my whole mind of just, I'm supposed to believe as the viewer that this 20-something-year-old model wants to get with Adam Sandler,
and he says no to go with somebody else. Jennifer
Aniston. I would break up with any man for that woman. She's beautiful. She looks amazing for her age as well. But she also jumps on board.
She just goes with it, man. But you know, that's my critique with Wedding Crashers as well.
But you see it all the time of like these men who are supposed to just be inexplicably married to these beautiful women and are like, oh God, my wife's such a drag. And you're like, have you seen her? She's gorgeous.
You're like, God, she's sitting there looking amazing. Could she stop?
She's doing nothing and she looks fantastic. Treat your wife better.
Yeah, but anyway, I just grew up watching that movie so much. It's highly referenced in my household. Just a good movie for me.
Yeah, that's cute. So I'm going to do my last movie, and then we're headed towards wrapping up. My last movie is Love, Simon.
Oh, I still have to watch that.
Dude. So
I know.
You know I cry. I'm a crier. I cry at movies. I cried at the end of Love, Simon.
Did you?
In the theater with my friend, bawling.
Aww.
It was very cute. So Love, Simon is the story of 17-year-old Simon Spire, who is going through, high school and life while hiding the fact that he's gay, and he doesn't know if he's ready to come out yet. Simon is played by Nick Robinson. Catherine Langford is in it. Alexandra Shipp. Keenan Lonsdale. So he's grappling with this new identity or not new identity, but deciding how he wants to come out and share with his friends and family that he is gay. And he starts a correspondence with another kid in his school who's also gay. They use code names and they email back and forth to talk about the preparation they're doing to come out and how scary that is and what that means. So that came out in March of 2018. It's available for purchase on Prime, and it was directed by Greg Bertolanti, and it's based on the novel Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertolini. Yeah, so
you're gonna crack up listening to that on the recording.
Oh yeah.
Okay, sorry. Continue.
No, it's such a sweet story, and I think it's really exciting to see this movement towards telling stories that haven't been told before.
Yeah, definitely.
In a good way. So you see a lot of like LGBT movies, especially in the past. It's sort of changed now that we're basically just like exploitation in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Look at these two girls make out. Look how hot it is.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm trying to think of movies that I've seen, and they always seem like just biopics of like certain people, you know, because I'm thinking of Milk right now.
Yes.
Or The Imitation Game talked about a little bit about it.
But there's a lot of movies, especially with lesbian representation, that it feels like a straight man made the movie to be gross and pervy about women who were gay. With this one, it's a 17-year-old kid. It's a child. And you're watching him like deal with, oh my God, I have a crush. Like it feels innocent and it feels sweet and it's not gross or exploitive. It's just this cute love story about this kid who just, he likes this kid. Like it's so easy to get caught up in being gross because a lot of movies have been gross.
Yeah.
And it's not. But again, I like to do research for the movie. One of the other characters, or the actor, Keenan Lonsdale, actually came out after the movie. He was inspired by his involvement in the movie to come out.
Oh, that's really cute.
Yeah, I thought that was really cute. But this was one of the first films. This was the first film produced by a major Hollywood studio to feature a gay teen protagonist.
Oh, yeah. There's not many of those, which is unfortunate. But
it's unfortunate because it's not like a big thing. Like coming out is a big thing, and anyone who does it, like, I'm sure it's nerve-wracking and it's scary for those people.
I feel like it's seen as like a taboo subject.
Yeah, but it doesn't affect like a lot of who you are as a person. It's just I was surprised to see that it was that big a deal that it was the first one to do that, because I was like, and now I think we're moving on a lot to representation where being gay isn't their only character trait.
Yeah, like I know a lot of rom-coms always have that gay best friend and that's it.
Yeah,
and it's all
and they
stereotypes.
Don't have
They're
any
just there.
Opinions or thoughts or anything. They're just there to be the best friend and offer a sassy one-liner every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's nice to see, like, I just started watching the TV show, or I finished the TV show Julie and the Phantoms, which is a kids show, because I like kids shows still. I'm a child.
I've never heard of it.
It's a musical TV show. It's really cute. It's on Netflix. And one of the characters, Alex, he's the drummer for the band, is gay, and it's mentioned once, and then you watch him have like this sort of will they won't they relationship, but that's not his main character trait. Yeah. It's not a big thing. He doesn't have to like constantly be talking about it. It's just, it's there and it's obvious, and they're not shying away from it, but it's not mentioned every 5 seconds, whereas I think a lot of other movies, like, they need to constantly reinforce, like, he's gay, look at him, he's gay, he's over there just being gay in the corner by himself. And you're like, you wouldn't do that to a normal person.
No, you wouldn't.
You wouldn't walk up to someone and be like, hey, I heard you were gay, are you still gay? It's just assumed.
No, I grew out of it, bro.
But it was really sweet. The movie was so cute, and they've made a spin-off TV show called Love, Victor, which is on Hulu.
Heard that. I didn't know it was a TV show, though.
Yeah, it's a TV show. Sort of the same idea of, it's another coming of age, coming out story for Victor, who's a new kid in Simon's school.
Okay.
And it's a TV show following his life a little bit. So I think we're moving in the right direction. Obviously, I don't know enough because I can't speak for gay men especially. It's a movement in the right direction, I think, and I was really excited to see the movie. There was a line in the movie that I actually have a shirt that says the same thing, and I wear it all the time.
What is it?
Which says, why is straight the default? Mm-hmm. And there's a whole scene in the movie where the characters, Simon's friends, because he's got like 3 friends in the movie that he, like, they're a close-knit group. His 3 friends talk about why is Simon the only one who has to come out? Why don't people have to come out as straight? And so there's a scene where you see the three of his friends coming out to it's like a joke, like, dream sequence where the 3 friends come out to their parents as straight, and you see the reactions of the parents. So like one kid goes, Mom, I'm straight, and the mom starts crying. Like, how could you do this to me? And so they show you the absurdity of that.
Yeah.
And like how parents react, and how that sometimes is the reaction is how could you do this to me? And
yeah, definitely.
By drawing on how insane it would be if I had to come out to my parents as straight and have them react badly. Like, you see what kids have to deal with as outside the quote unquote norm. So I thought it was a cute movie. I thought it was well done. The person who wrote the book, she spent a lot of time with gay kids and teens especially, to sort of learn about their experiences so she could write the book appropriately and not just sort of pull from her own bias and her own situation to write the book. So I think she did a great job. And
yeah, definitely.
The movie was well done, well written. You could see the friendships, and it was really sweet. So with that, we're gonna wrap up our podcast today. We're the Film Society. Today we talked about American Horror Story Apocalypse, especially, which is available on Hulu. We talked about Palm Springs, which is also on Hulu. We talked about Sleepless in Seattle, which is available on Prime.
Amazon Prime, but you have to rent or purchase it.
Of course. We talked about 500 Days of Summer, which is on
same thing. You gotta rent or purchase on Amazon Prime.
And Hitch, which you also have to rent or purchase on Amazon Prime.
Not a cheap episode.
Oh, no, this is a very expensive episode because Little Italy and Love, Simon, you both have to rent or purchase on Amazon Prime. Next week, we're going to be talking about family-friendly movies because we've been talking about some
heavy topics.
So these are the ones you can watch with the parents, the younger siblings, all of the above. But don't forget, you're not supposed to be going out. I mean, we weren't going to be anyway, but can't go out. It's a pandemic. So grab some popcorn, sit on your couch with your friends, watch some movies. That's what we'll be doing. Right, Chloe?
Right, Mackenzie.
We'll see you guys next week.